you is that you have ambition to be great. My job is to coach you to get all that greatness out of you.
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It is your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one. You know what it is. It's Hump Day, and we are back here. Remember, tomorrow night, I'm going to be back as well, right? 3 nights in a row here. And on Thursday night, I will be joined by Dante Collinelli. And shout out to the homie Dante Collinelli. That man is moving up in the world, and me and him came into this game together, and man, I know he's going to be announcing, at some point, the new move he has coming for everyone. But, that's my boy right there. So, shout out to Dante, man, doing big things. That's my guy right there, man. That is my guy. And I'm going to have Dante and I'm going to have Ryan Roberts on. We're going to talk about the rookie and UDFA class, what you guys can expect in year one from these guys. I haven't had anyone like that on post-draft yet. There's a couple guys I'm going to have on next year post-draft that you guys haven't even seen on the channel yet. Keep an eye on that. And I'm going to have them on around draft, pre-draft and post-draft next year. But anyways, I haven't really had anyone on for post-draft because we got right back into it and I had to do my prospect previews and such like that. So, we're going to go in, we're going to talk about Tyndall. We're going to talk from the third round all the way to the UDFAs, what you guys can expect in year one. We're going to go through every player for you guys. Every player that matters. And yeah, so that'll be a good show tomorrow night. And then next week, guys, at some point I'm going to be dropping. I did the Tyreek Hill film study. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out from yesterday's show. But at some point next week, I'm going to be dropping the Mike McDaniel. I'm going to take a look at, things that I think are going to translate and correlate to what we're going to be doing as an offense this year. So it's going to be kind of a Mike McDaniel, Shanahan system, Miami fit film study. I haven't even figured out the title of it yet, but I've been talking about this for quite some time. I bumped it all the way up. I'm still going to eventually do the Kellen Deesh film study, and I'm going to do there's a couple other ones I still want to do, but some of those might be Patreon only because I want to give those guys some exclusive content, and members only. So you're going to have to be a channel member to view it, or you're going to have to be a Patreon to view it. I haven't figured out where I'm going to go with those yet. So we'll figure that out as we go on. So anyways, because those are going to be like 10, 15-minute videos, I'm going to record the film study and just upload it. It's not going to be an hour stream with the film study live, while everyone's watching. Those are going to be pre-recorded, uploaded little film studies for you guys. All right. So anyways, enough of that. We got a lot coming on over the next week. And obviously we're getting closer and closer, July 27th, 7 days away to the vets reporting. So it's got, what's up, Stetson from Toronto? I love it. God's Child, how do you become a member? It's easy. If you look down, you can become either a channel member by looking down below next to the subscribe button. You will see a join button. That is to become a member of the channel, or you can become a Patreon, especially with July about to training camp about to kick in gear. I had updates on there, a lot of my inside info. I don't post it to Twitter. I talk about some of it up here, but I post a lot of stuff that I'm hearing onto Patreon, so that should be kicking up too, just on a news and info site, let alone the stuff I want to do in terms of the film studies specifically for members in Patreon. So you can go to patreon.com/Finside the NFL. You can become a Patreon member there, or you can become a YouTube channel member. So when it comes to like videos and such like that, really the YouTube channel members, I still post things to them, but they get and I'm going to be doing something new where, because I can post to channel members only, I'm going to be dropping info to channel members as well, right? You just have to look under the community tab. When you look under the community tab, you'll see the info. So I'm going to be giving Patreons and YouTube channel members basically the equivalent, right? If there's a video, It's going to be for Patreons, and it's going to be for channel members. And now I'm going to do, if there's going to be info under the community tab, I'm going to post members only posts. So if you're not a channel member, you won't see it. You won't even notice it. And I'm going to Patreon as well. And I'll put some info on there as I'm hearing things that come down the pipeline. Right. So there you go. That's how you can become a member. You got two options, basically. That's what I'm trying to give people that's my whole point of this, is I'm trying to give people two options that are of equal value and of equal standing. So but the Patreons do have an option of paying a little bit more money, right? Like I think the highest level is like $20 or something like that. So there are things I'm going to keep to the Patreons only as well. So, but in terms of major info or exclusive videos, you guys will both get them. All right. Anyways, enough about talking about that. How's everyone doing, man? Like, I'm excited. I know last time Dante was on the show, we had like 11 or 12,000 views. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited that Dante's going to come back. And I'm going to have Dante and Ryan at one. Like, if people don't know, Ryan Roberts to me is one of the best evaluator minds in this community, like in the online evaluator community. When you talk about Dante Calinelli, I think he's one of the best evaluator minds in the Dolphins community, and he's one of the best young minds in the online evaluator community. So it's going to be like a nice three-man panel, and it's going to be, if you are a draft fan, if you are excited about Channing Tindall, Eric Uzakama, Cameron Good, if you're a Tua and Bridgewater hater and you're excited for Skylar Thompson, it's going to be the show for you. And we're going to talk a little quarterback talk next year, right? Because I talk about it every year with these guys, right? If you watch me, it doesn't matter whether we have Tua or not, man. We could have a franchise quarterback, and I will still discuss quarterback talk with these guys. So, yeah, it's gonna be a good show. So make sure you tune in tomorrow. That one's gonna be starting at 8. I know I started a little bit late tonight at 8:30, but that one's gonna be starting at 8:00. All right. What's good, CB83? Don't worry. Hey, God's child. Whenever I need to bring that, listen. Everyone knows. All right. When I see, I'm different now. All right. I move and I really move in silence, like the letter G in lasagna, bro. Because that's how real G's move. And especially with this community, man. Like, I used to be the one to flip out. You know how much stuff had come my way of screenshots. I mean, I want people to, I'm gonna tell people right now. When people are talking about me and they think they're in a safe space, whether it's a group chat or whatever, Reason always finds out. Reason always finds out, man. So when I gotta spit that heat, listen. My tongue is a sword. It thrills my wife and it kills demons, baby. So, that's what it is, man. That's what it is. Love the T Hill film study. I appreciate you, Robert. Thank you, man. I like that, man. And thank you. Hey, Robert. Appreciate you, Robert Thompson. I don't know how you reminded me of it, but you reminded me of yesterday's episode. So, listen, I made a huge mistake yesterday, and I've been talking about this player since episode 508. So I got to correct myself, because I was OCD when someone actually noticed it, and then I went back and looked, and I'm like, oh my God, I actually did that. Because that would have been an absolute flawless episode if I didn't make the mistake. And of course I made the mistake. I kept saying Matt Pilardi when I was talking about Matt Parody, the former Denver center. The former, I was talking about Matt Parody. So everyone knows. All right. For some reason, I was talking about Matt Pilardi. I have no idea why I was thinking about our punter. Maybe just subconsciously I was so happy he's gone. But yeah, I was talking about Matt Parody. So that's who I was referring to yesterday in that opening segment. And I even, like, on the timestamps, I even, like, corrected myself so people would know and said not Pilardi. So yeah, my mistake on that, guys, because I've been talking about Parody since what? Episode 508 was the first time I mentioned that, when I talked about trading or moving off Gaskin, whether you get a draft pick or you're trying to trade him for a body. A center option is if you're going to Matt Parody's still out there and you look at his success with Denver, it just makes a ton of sense, right? Oh, yo, this is a room full of Roberts tonight. What's going on? Evan, atta boy, got his tickets for the Finns versus Eagles practice. There, you're buddy, you're a smart man. That's what I'm going to tell you. Thomas Bird says, I thought Pilardi just changed positions after sucking out punter so bad. Maybe he should, man. Maybe water boy or left bench makes most sense for him. But yeah, man, damn. There's a lot of Roberts in this house. I didn't even notice this. Damn, if you're a Robert, say I in the chat. Man, y'all come together. I appreciate it. And the crazy thing about that, my father's name is Robert. And Robert King's got me on the 40-inch screen. I appreciate it, bro. I don't know why you'd want this mug up on a 40-inch screen, but hey, all the power to you, my friend. Appreciate you, Andy. Listen, man, those are the comments, man. You know what, man? I just saw the comment from Andy Jackson. I just rolled up. And hi to everyone in the chat. There's already 225 of you. We're going to get into a lot of stuff. We got a lot of stuff to go over for Wednesday night in the middle of July or latter half of July. And, he said support reason he works hard. You know what? Just the fact that you recognize I work hard, I appreciate that, man. That goes a long way for me, man. So I appreciate that. Ish says my boy Reason got that dog in him, but I changed, man. We're creeping on 10,000 subs. We can't be wild. All of you that have been around since the 1, 2, 3,000 sub days, we can't be wilding out like those days anymore, man. We can't be wilding out like those days anymore, right? We can't be out here like doing that, man. We got a brand. We got a show. We got to rock. Obviously, I still keep it very personal with you guys because y'all are the Finside fam. We're all family here. So, I talk to you guys like your family and I treat you guys like your family. I don't treat you guys like you're a number or whatever the case may be. Ralph says, reason you're our voice, man. I think the whole purpose of this channel is so we can all be the voice. You know what I mean? That's what it is. Scotty's like, and I know Scotty been around. Scotty Joe 22 been around since day one, and he's like, we civilized now. Yes, my friend, we civilized. But bro, the amount of things I hear, bro, I got so many receipts that I could have a show just ethering so many people in the community, but I don't. I sit on the receipts and I pick and choose when I move, man. And now it's just a lot of time like. It's just you sit back, man. You sit back and you watch, right? So it is what it is, man. You kind of grow and mature as a content creator. And honestly, man, drama, beef, all that, man, that downgrades the quality of my show and therefore downgrades your guys' viewing experience, right? Like I know when you guys used to see the panels, especially whether it's here on TD Defense Talk, the Tuesday night panel, okay? If you've been around, y'all know what the Tuesday night panel is, okay? The Tuesday night panel back on TD Fins Talk, it really kicked off in October 2019. It was me, EM Dolphin fan, Mr. Ballgame, Finsanity 5, and TD. And these things used to get heated. Like, we're taking down a trip down memory lane. These things used to get crazy, man. Like, if you guys can go back and search Tuesday night panel and TD Fins Talk, shout out to the homie TD. Bro, you got nothing to do. Throw on the pop, put some popcorn on, crack your favorite beverage, and sit back, or light them if you got them, and sit back and watch that. I'm gonna tell you that right now. But you gotta have time because this is like we used to go. It's like 3-4 hour streams. I remember there would be nights because EM he's his own businessman, but EM's one of the hardest workers you'll ever meet, man. You can say what you want about EM. That's my homie. That's my dog. That's my brother. Me and that man will ride out into the sunset in life together, bro, because that's just my homie. And, that man used to pull up to his crib, get on his phone, and just get stuck in his driveway for like 3 or 4 hours after coming home at like 8 o'clock. And it would just be like, And it was crazy, man. It was crazy, especially when I was new, because when I was new, everyone was like, because they kind of ganged up on EM a little bit. I'm gonna be honest with you. But EM was the one spitting bars. So then they'd kind of turn and be like, yo, Reason, what do you, and I'd kind of be like, yo, EM's spitting the truth, man. And then I would expand on it as to why he's right. And, then it kind of became this whole, Reason to EM against it was just a great dynamic. I don't know if it'll ever be duplicated in this. I don't think it'll ever be duplicated in this community ever again. Okay. I've tried already to bring it back. All right. And I'm going to try again one more time at some point for you guys. I'm going to try and bring it back for you guys. All right. Now there's going to be a little bit of a change to it. But me, TD, and EM have had discussions about bringing this back. So be out on the lookout. That could be something we bring back this year. All right. And I mean, that was a money show. That was a money show. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But we almost brought it back just a couple of months ago. And some scheduling conflicts happened because of the off season. So we've talked about it. And I'm going to tell you, man, it's going to be anyone who's been around since that age, man, they remember those were some good nights, man. Those are some good times, man. Some good times. So if you ever want a good watch, go back and watch early days of the Finside the NFL when we used to be ruthless up here, or go watch the Tuesday night panel old episodes with you got to go back to like 2019 into 2020. It ran from October 2019 until May 2020. So go check those out if you ever have some, and it was every Tuesday night without fail. So man, go check them out if you ever want. All y'all that have never seen EM on camera, man, y'all gonna learn what the finger point is. That finger point is one of the most classic memes ever. Yo, man. Oh, man. Just you see, people don't realize, because all these different audio podcasts and new YouTube channels have come, man. And it's, we've kind of turned into an oversaturated market. Whether you want to go on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you want to go, it's oversaturated right now with Dolphins podcasts. And I'm going to tell you, this is back from a day when we weren't saturated, man. The saturation really didn't start until, the 2020 regular season and such. But this is back when this community wasn't overly saturated. And, man, good times. Can't say enough of good things, man. It was good stuff, man. Yeah, Finn CB3. And shout out to the homie CB83 to support him if you can in the comments. He said, I've been around a long time. Y'all dudes been rocking. Yeah, man. People don't realize, we've been, man, this is like, since the 2019 season, right? So we're now into basically what, 2019, 2020. This is the fourth season on YouTube, basically. So, and this is the third on Finside the NFL. So crazy, man. Time flies when you're having a blast. And honestly, as much as there is a portion of this fan base, again, on every platform, not one singular platform, that are just, you wish you could just purge them from it. There's so much good and there's so much greatness in this fan base, from creators, whether it's writers or YouTubers, or podcasters in audio format. There's and even down to the fans, man. There's so much greatness, you know what I mean? So it's been a blessing to be a part of it for the last 4 years, man. It really has been. And that was a little good trip down memory lane, man. Little good trip down memory lane. Crazy how one, and that wasn't going to be my opening, so now I got to move my opening, but because we're not going to have enough time. But I was, it's crazy how time flies, man. Man, my oldest was just a baby when I started in this community. Like, as I've watched my, kid grow, and that's why, man, I'm a lot different than when I came in, man. You go to the early days of this, man, with the 1, 2, 3K subscribers, man. There's a lot of people who have said stuff who, I let slide because I put it in the receipt pile. and I pick and choose. That back in the day I used to just like snap, and I used to just now let's not get it twisted. If you listen to Spaces or whatever the case may be, or certain YouTube channels who you call my name 3 times like Candyman, I will come for you. Don't get that wrong. Don't get it twisted. I am still that alpha. Don't get it twisted. So it is what it is. But man, at the end of the day, like this drama, this beef, this nonsense that's always going on, man. Listen, I got 2 daughters I got to babysit. The last thing I need to do is be babysitting grown men on platforms. All right, real talk. And so let's stick to football, because that's what the people, at the end of the day, that's what the people follow us for. They don't follow you for high school drama. They don't follow to hear people cry and whine. They follow us to hear our football takes, to judge our football takes, right? To hear our breakdowns, to hear our opinions. That's what they follow us for, man. Everyone needs to get perspective in this community. Get perspective of the situation. Everyone's following you, or everyone knows of you because of the Dolphins. They don't want to hear the nonsense. All right. So, Raul says raising your production and quality has really improved. Thank you, man. The content's always amazing. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. So, anyways, man, George, look at this, bro. The reason I remember there being 10 to 15 in the chat, George. I wanted to shout out George Albanese. He's held me down since day one of the true day ones. There's a bunch of them, Pyro, Rhino, etc. But George has always believed in me, and George always said from the moment he first saw me in EM, he said, "You guys are going to be great. You guys are going to be something in this community," and from the moment he saw our first show, and from the moment he really heard us on TD, and George has always held us down. He's such a good guy. And Kyle's been the same way too. Coach Kyle, he's the man. So many of you have just been so supportive, and that's why, I look at you guys like family. I don't look at you guys as subscribers or numbers, man. I look at it as our family could pack a small arena, a small venue. That's what I look at. And we could have the best family outing you've ever seen. The cookout, the talk, the conversation. It'd be amazing, man. All of us just sitting there watching film, 8,000 of us. Think of that, man. When you actually put it in perspective, think about that. So appreciate all you, man. I love each and every one of you, man. Like even my haters, man. I love y'all because you make me get better. You make me step my game up. Right? So I love all of y'all. End of the day. Let's get into this, man. We got a ton. I'm out here reminiscing down memory lane and writing love letters to everyone in the Dolphin community when we got a lot to go over here. And it's a Wednesday night and we just vibing. We got already 323 of you in the room. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new. Help me out with my friend Algorithm. You already know what time it is. Help me out. Smash that like button. Let's I got a ton to go over here. So what I want to go over is I'm going to give you guys 5 players who I think could be surprising cut candidates. Now, some of them could be traded, sure. Noah Igbenogany did not make the list because I think they'd more than likely try to trade him than cut him. But stranger things have happened. But then you look at the depth chart and you're like, yeah, I don't know. Noah might see another year unless they start picking up corners out of left, right. So I got 5 guys, and I'm going to go in the order of, I think, least likely to most likely. All right. So I'm going to start off with the most least likeliest and then get to the most likeliest, I think. All right. And then on top of that, a good article by the homie Daniel Fusi from the Miami Herald and just talking about position battles. And we've already gone over position battles and breakdowns. So I want to go over that. I wanted to go over it yesterday, but the show was running a little long. We got over and under win predictions for every NFL team in 2022. Obviously, we're going to look at the Dolphins that Bleacher report put out. I just got a crazy financial number that I got to throw at you that's going to make y'all sick to your stomach about our offensive line. Good piece together article by Barry Jackson going over what some Dolphin executives have said through Travis Wingfield this offseason. Then I got a nice chart that shows PFF offensive line rankings to the end of the season to current 2022 rankings. All right. So it's an interesting chart. Teddy Bridgewater out here thinking of the children. I got to show him love, being an absolute stand-up guy as a backup quarterback. Something quickly I want to talk about. And then I got 2 little videos for you. We want to take a look at what Dave Wannstedt and Colin Cowherd said on the Colin Cowherd podcast about Tua and such, because A, Colin's flip-flopping, B, Wannstedt makes some really good points. I want to go over that. And then Cam Wolfe gave everyone an update. And Cam Wolfe is always one of the best guys out there. So he gave everyone an update on what's going on. So we're going to take a look at that. So a ton to go over here. Let's start off with we're going to get into Wannstedt. Then after Wannstedt, I want to take a look at the five potentially surprising cut candidates for the Dolphins heading into training camp. And then we'll get into everything else. All right. So let's start off. Let's get into this. We'll start off with Dave Wannstedt. Let me bring the video up for y'all. All right.
They're skilled people. Waddle, Cedric, Wilson. I think it's a terrific 3. Mike Gesicki, Tyreek Hill, very capable backs. Again, nice. I think they're okay on the offensive line, not great. But they bring in Kyle Shanahan's offense. It's always been a good offense.
Shout out to Tilly for the
it's
clip.
Not
one of the
quarterback
moms
reliant. It's quarterback
goat
friendly.
on Twitter.
Yep. Tua, I think his strength, accurate thrower. It's like Jimmy G. There's a ceiling, but Jimmy gets the ball out and he gets at the guys, run after catch.
I've already explained why
shit,
he's better
that
than
is
Jimmy
Tyreek Hill. I think he led the NFL in
think of Matt Ryan in Atlanta.
Bubbles. 75% of his catches were not deep. They're bubble screens. They're get the ball out to him quick. Tua can absolutely activate that. I think the issue is going to be, I think Tua is going to be pretty good. I went and looked at his numbers from last year, and I said, if they improve 15%, the dilemma is going to be, oh, crap. Do we have to pay him knowing he's in the same division with Josh Allen? Because I think he's going to complete about 66%. He's going to have a 94 passer rating, a 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. He's not Mahomes. He's not Herbert. He's not Burrow. He's not.
Right.
So I think what you're going to get is this quarterback system, Dave. It works. Christ, Garoppolo's making 27 large. It works. You can win a lot of games in this thing.
No question. 2 thoughts come to mind with your comment, your question there. Number one, the first time, if you talk to anybody in the NFL and you say Shanahan, what's the first thought that comes to mind? One of the best game plan run schemer there is in the league.
Yep.
And so that's what you got to expect with the Dolphins. So their run game, they were 28th, I may be wrong on this, 27th, 28th, or 29th in the league rushing the football last year. They weren't very good at all. They didn't really give Tua the chance that they had. And you're right, Tyreek Hill, I'm part of a group of 10, 15 coaches called the 33rd team. Okay. And we have Zooms and meetings and we just talk ball and we do some things. They're going to have something new going on with our group this fall.
Dave Wannstedt.
But we were talking and watching tape on Tyreek Hill. And you're exactly right. He led the NFL in yards after catch. And so the point is that fits right in. Get the ball out quick and let him run. I mean, it sounds too simple for some of these geniuses. But I'll tell you what, if you come out of a Shanahan system, and I was coaching the Dolphins and I was coaching the Bears when his dad, was coaching he was offense coordinator of the 49ers, and then he was the coach at Denver. And so I know the system, and he's doing exactly what his dad did from the standpoint of philosophy-wise, and it's working.
I think he's going to be a little bit like a left-handed Jimmy G. He'll get banged up.
No, he's going to be better.
You can see the ceiling, but he'll get rid of the ball quick. He'll deliver it accurately. And in the end, the coaches will win a lot of games. You're going to win 10. I think they're going to be a 10-win team. I think Miami is a playoff team.
You can't lose sight of this. when he was struggling early, every week we were all talking about it on all the shows. Deshaun Watson going to the Dolphins, Deshaun Watson being traded to the Dolphins, and Tua's playing horrible. All of a sudden, halfway through, the general manager down there says, that's enough talk about this. This is our guy. We're out of the Watson stakes. We're not interested anymore. And it's Tua. And his numbers, his performance, it was like night and day.
Yes.
So I think that now you get an offensive coach. Okay. It's the first time that he's ever had a head coach that's the offensive coach. Nick Saban, right?
Great
Alabama.
point.
I think his high school coach was a defensive coach. I could be wrong. I think he
go.
was.
Colin, you got me again. You know, what can I say?
That was a great
You
point.
just
No,
got
I
me.
think you're right. I think
You're
his high school,
100%.
Saban, Flores, I think they all were defensive coaches.
So now you got the head coach putting his arm around him in the meetings, giving him some loving. The guy, I think that could accelerate his performance.
Look at that.
Twofold, really. I really do, just because of the environment and the atmosphere that he's going to be in now as compared to the past.
And the other, the one thing I like about Tua, when he's getting all this crap, Dave, he's really good at the microphone.
Yep.
He handles it. He laughs at it. He rolls his eyes at it. Baker could get real snarky, real defensive.
Always got to go back to Baker.
It's all good. You know that. The last thing you want is you have to answer a question because your quarterback the day before got in an argument with the media.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. No question. And I think, Tua's the type of quarterback that you hire him in any profession, he's going to make your team or your business better. He's just got, he's got that type of charisma, and I think he's got that type of mentality.
Big like that is big praise from Dave Wannstedt. And I know we all got PTSD with him because of Marino and what happened and such. But I mean, let's listen to what he said there for a sec. I mean, he said McDaniel and being under an offensive coach like that for the first time, his production and his performance should accelerate. His production should go twofold. I mean, and then looking on top of that, he thinks such highly of his character and the kid's ability that he says you hire him in any profession because he's going to make you better. I mean, those are really ringing, endorsing words from Dave Wannstedt. And all of a sudden, I mean, am I in a bizarro world? When did Colin Cowherd become a Tua Tagovailoa supporter? I mean, what's going on here? I mean, are we just getting on the bandwagon early so they don't look like idiots for all the bad things they said? I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on here. I mean, I've already told y'all what my expectation is. I need top 12 play, and I expect 3,800 to 4,200 yards, 28 to 32 touchdowns, and 8 to 12 interceptions. That's what I need. Right? And obviously, if you're going to enter top 12 play, we're looking more at 4,200 yards, 30 plus touchdowns, and around 10 interceptions. That's what I need. Or if you're going to give me 28 touchdowns and you give me, 7 or 8 interceptions, we're golden, baby. We are golden. So, man, ringing endorsement from Dave Wannstedt, and I mean, you got to appreciate it. So let's get into now, 5 guys who I think could be surprise cuts for the Miami Dolphins heading into 2020 training camp. Now, again, I'm going to start from on this list, least likely to most likely. All right. Remember that. So, and I mean, I guess they could fall under trade, but I'm going for cut value here. All right. Now there's 2 guys specifically on here who could be traded as well if you're going to move them off, but I'm going for cut. So number 5 for me is Eric Rowe. I've talked about this before. The main reason why I'm saying this is because right now Eric Rowe, he has a cap hit of $5.075 million. So just under $5.1 million, right? And if you were to cut him, your cap saving would be $4.55 million. That is a huge cap number. And I know we already have just over $16 million in cap, but I mean, if there's a splash play on the table to make, and you got to pony up some money and you want to still roll over some cap, Eric Rowe could be a casualty. Now, again, the Dolphins depth chart, it's not really favorable to cutting him. We would need Verone McKinley, who obviously I've done that prospect preview on. Go back and watch that if you want. But we would basically need Verone McKinley to lock in, and even still, then he's built like a free safety. So who are you moving into the box behind Brandon Jones? Right? That's why I have him here as least likely. Like, financially, it's something to watch. You know what I mean? And I mean, Clayton Fledglam obviously makes more sense to cut, but I'm going for surprise factor here. I'm not going for, I think we could all agree we'd all cut Clayton Fledglam before Eric Rowe. We'd all agree, and you'd save over $2 million. No one would debate that whatsoever, and they'd be crazy if they did. But I'm going for more of the surprise factor of, last year or the year, look over the last 2 seasons, heading into this season, we would have never thought they'd be a cut candidate type of thing, right? So Eric Rowe, hey, if Fledglam takes a step forward, and you got to remember, Trill can play safety as well, right? So now, because of what they want to do defensively, again, that makes me pause on them cutting Eric Rowe. But that's why I have him as the least likeliest here on my list of surprise cut candidates. All right, potential surprise cut candidates. So that's why I got him as the least likely here, right? Because Fledglam is the most likely, and he's the most obvious. He's not a surprise if he gets cut, right? So I got Eric Rowe here because that saving is real. That saving, $4.5 million is $4.5 million, people. Right? But, I would obviously cut Fledglam before him. Number 4, again, on that least likely scale, Solomon Kinley. Now, obviously, he's built for a power gap scheme, which we are no longer. The word is he's still overweight. So those might not lead you to say, well, that's a surprise. But what does lead me to say is a surprise is, man, you go look at his 2020 play. That man looked like, if he got, if he shed some pounds and got nimbler feet and better at pulling, he was going to be he was going to be knocking on the Pro Bowl door one day. Now, spends last season in the doghouse, is apparently still overweight. We're going to an outside zone, which for a guy who's overweight and doesn't have nimble feet, that's not the most ideal situation whatsoever. And the thing, too, with Solomon Kinley, which you got to remember, Solomon Kinley, you save $1 million if you cut him. And, I know we don't like the depth on our line, but let's put it in perspective here, okay? If Robert Jones continues to build off what he was last year, if that UDFA they brought in, Blaze Andreas, turns out into something, and if Kellen Deesh, who I think has a good chance of making the 53, offers something, because he can go inside or out at the next level, I think. All of a sudden, and Dieter's not starting, and he's behind Connor Williams, and he gives you center guard flexibility. All of a sudden, he's in a fight with Dieter, Robert Jones, Blaze Andreas, and Kellen Deesh for potential interior snaps. And they also got that kid, Cole Banwart, who's going to be battling too. So Solomon Kinley could find himself sliding not only down the depth chart, but out of Miami. And I mean, this period from where OTAs ended to training camp starting, that's the time where he's got to get his body right. And if you don't get his body right, he's going to have issues. And he could be you look at what he was, man, you go back and watch my film study from that season. I did it like, 4 or 5 games into 4 or 5, 6 games. Well, it was like 6 games into the season, or is it the midway point into the season? I did a film study on Solomon Kinley. The guy looked like, bro, go look at what he did in that Buffalo game at the beginning of the season. He put Ed Oliver on his ass. That man was dominant against the Patriots too. Solomon Kinley looked like he was going to be something. Then he got that ankle injury, got into the doghouse, and he ain't been heard from since. So, and honestly, I think if Deach can play both guard and tackle, he's going to go above him. I think Robert Jones is going to beat him out because he'll give you guard or tackle flexibility. Solomon Kinley might fall down here. Like, you know, Kinley might fall down. If he loses weight and he gets to like 320, we golden. But I've heard reports of him being over like 340 and such right now. And, you know, I think it's a real, if he comes in overweight again, it is a real possibility that this man gets cut, which is a crying shame from what we saw early on in 2020 in his career. Right? There was a lot of people, myself included, were like, wow, Andrew Thomas is struggling. This guy's thriving, whether he's next to Robert Hunt. Sorry, whether he was next to Jesse Davis or Austin Jackson. You know, he was making Austin Jackson better in the run game. Right? Like, you were like, holy. And then here we are. And this is what we're dealing with. And now Solomon Kinley, I've got on a potential cut candidate list when if you would ask me 2 years ago, I would have him on a potential Pro Bowl jump list more likely with how his career started. Because remember, Andrew Thomas was, like I said, Andrew Thomas was struggling. He was thriving. Everyone thought, oh, was he the reason why Andrew Thomas was so good? Because he was the one who was next to Andrew Thomas at Georgia. So, man, he better get his ass in gear or he's going to be staring down the barrel of a pink slip. So, next one for me, he's in that middle point. Preston Williams. Now, Preston, I mean, guys, first of all, you look at what he was like last year. The man only had 16 targets for 6 receptions and 71 yards, albeit his snap count was vastly down. But this is a guy who, you know, in year one had 32 receptions for 428 yards. 2020 before he got hit had 18 receptions for 288 yards. He had 7 touchdowns in his first 2 injury-plagued seasons. And you were like, if this guy stays healthy, oh my God. And he stayed healthy. I want to put it in perspective. He stayed healthy last year, and he was in such the doghouse with Brian Flores. He had 110 passing snaps last year. Just put it in perspective, the year before when he got hurt in 2020, he had 221 up until the point he got hurt. And then in 2019 as a rookie, he had 288 up until the point he got hurt. So he was, he was a big target and a big part of our offense and what we were doing. And yeah, last year got in the doghouse because of his agent when his agent was asked on Twitter if Preston's healthy, and he said, yep, he's healthy, he's ready to go. The agent and Preston got called in and they got told to delete the tweet. It's giving the competition a competitive advantage, and Preston was in the doghouse. That's the story I was told. And now look at this. Preston. Now, I mean, you look at our depth chart, guys. I mean, my top 3 is Waddle, Tyreek, Cedric, and Lynn Bowden. I know Trent Sherfield's going to make the team. I've already been told that Trent Sherfield. I told you guys a month and a half ago, that locked Trent Sherfield in Mac Hollins' role. I've been told he's going to make the team. I was the first one to report that. Month and a half, 2 months ago. Right? So what is that? That gives us 5. Eric Zakama is going to make the team. That gives us 6. Preston's best chance of making the team is if they carry 7. And he's going to have to beat out River Craycraft, who apparently they love, and Cody Core, who apparently they love, and Devontae Dedman, who offers a lot, and Braylon Sanders, I think, is going to be a practice squad. But I think he'll beat out Dedman and Sanders. But, Core and Craycraft, he'll be competing with those guys if they carry 7, because if they're just carrying 6, I mean, that's Waddle, Hill, Wilson, Izakama, Sherfield, and Bowden. So Preston, he's going to sneak in as a wide receiver 7 if he does. So that's why I got him in the middle of the pack. It all depends on how much we take. And if they fall in love with River Craycraft, who, River Craycraft and Cody Core came over from San Francisco, so McDaniel knows them. So they've got they've got an advantage a little bit here. Sorry, what's his face did? River Craycraft did. My bad. Not. I don't think Cody Core did. Right. Pretty sure Cody Core didn't. But I know he came over. Craycraft came over from San Fran. Right. So and Cody Core came from New York and Cincinnati. So yeah, so Craycraft's got an upper advantage on Core and Preston if they're going 7 wide receivers. But a couple things, Preston and Josh Boyer clearly impressed Mike McDaniel during that shellacking we gave them in 2020, because he's talked about both of them in regards to it. So really that 7's going to, in my opinion, is going to come down to River Craycraft and Preston Williams. You got one that's familiar with the coach. You got the other one that's got a ton of upside to invest in. So scary thought where we went. Do you guys remember heading into the 2020 season, how a lot of Miami reporters are saying we got 2,000-yard receivers, potential 1,000-yard receivers on this roster, and Preston Williams and Devontae Parker. And now 2 seasons later, heading into the second season later, DVP's a Patriot and Preston's fighting for his life on this roster. Kirk Merritt, he is in New Orleans. So, man, it is crazy how this is. It's crazy how this is, what this has come out, man. Preston's gonna have to put on a little bit of a show. And for you guys wondering, in case you were wondering, yeah, we signed him to a $1.49 million contract, including a $100,000 signing bonus. But if you were to cut him, you save $1.015 million at camp. So you save over $1 million with him too, slightly over $1 million. So another one. Number 2, and the reason why he's not number 1, I will explain to you, is Salvon Ahmed. And the reason why he's not number 1 is because the first move of this new regime when they came in was literally to sign him to his restricted, free agent tender. And remember, he's a San Francisco guy, right? They tried to put him on the practice squad and we snatched him up. So Salvon Ahmed's, number 2 on the, we're getting towards most likely here. And, again, you save $895,000 if you cut him. He's got no guaranteed money with his RFA deal. Now, he's, good player, right? He's a little nice contributor on the team at 319 yards in 2020 and at 149 yards for us last year. But 2020 was when he was real nice, right? He had the 319 yards. And he also had the 3 touchdowns. He was that 2020 campaign, when he had that 120, remember he put up 122 yards against New England in week 15 and the touchdown. Man, we thought we had something in Salvon Ahmed, man. And just like Myles Gaskin, Washington Husky, right? There's a 1-year draft difference between them. He's a little bit more speedy than Myles Gaskin. I think he offers a little bit more upside long term than Myles Gaskin. But when you look at the depth chart, I think Zacondre White has a chance of leaping both of them because they're clearly falling in love with that kid, and he specifically, made that UDFA pickup. So, you got to put Salvon Ahmed. It's a real possibility that this kid's not making it out and they try to sneak him on the practice squad and he gets picked up by another team. So Salvon Ahmed, looking real likely he's the odd man out. And the number one guy on my list is Myles Gaskin. And the reason why he's not number 2 is, again, Salvon Ahmed's got that McDaniel familiarity. They wanted him in there, and they're the ones who lost out on him, when they tried to move him to the practice squad to us. And the thing is, again, Salvin's got a little bit more athletic upside than Myles Gaskin, but also he's number 1 because remember, I'm the person heading into the 2020 season that was saying he's going to win the starting role and Kalen Ballage is going to be out of here. And then, EM says to me all the time, he's like, I can't believe you don't believe in Myles Gaskin when you were the first person in this community to put him on and you were the first believer. I'm just being objective, man. I think there's too much talent in front of him, including Zaquandre White. I think there's too many guys that offer too much more than what Myles Gaskin brings to the table. And I also think he's number 1 because he can be cut or traded. I think he's got value, right? And if you were to whether you trade him or cut him, you save $2.54 million on either move. That's a lot of guap. You can try and keep Salvon Ahmed for $895,000, or you can $2.54 million for Gaskin with Michelle, Zaquandre White, Mozart, and Edmonds. Now, do I think this is the right move? I don't know, because Mozart's injury history, et cetera, I don't know. But White was probably going to sneak in there, right? If Mozart goes down. I think there's a good chance Myles Gaskin is not wearing the aqua and orange when this season starts. There's a good chance. There's a good chance. Now, I won't be shocked if he is, but I also won't be shocked if he isn't. I think there's a good chance Myles Gaskin is not a Miami Dolphin. There's just, again, too much talent in front of him. And even the comparable guy in Salvon Ahmed has an upper hand with Mike McDaniel. That was literally the first move the new regime did when they came in. First move, boom. Sign that RFA tender. So those are my surprise cut candidates. 5 of them. If you guys any, put them in the comments right now while we're live. There's over 416 of you watching live. Or put them in the comments after you watch the show. Who's your surprise cut candidates for the Dolphins? Exactly. And Indeed makes the point. If you're at a deep position, you better play special teams. And I don't see Gaskin or Ahmed playing. Well, no, I don't see them playing special teams. Myles Gaskin, I don't see playing special teams. Let's put it that way. All right. All that said, this is what Cam Wolfe had to say today in regards to camp.
Tyreek Hill and all of the peace signs he's going to be throwing up is the main attraction here in Miami, and whether or not Tua Tagovailoa can maximize that infusion of deep speed. But I want people to pay attention to 2 other players beyond those guys in training camp: safety Jevon Holland and edge rusher Jaelan Phillips. Both second-year players who could be in line for a breakout season. And let's start with Holland. I was talking with a rival coach this offseason about the Dolphins, and he said unsolicited, Jevon Holland is going to be a Pro Bowl safety. And so I asked why. He said the guy has hard to find any flaws in his game. He has the range to cover. He sticks his nose in there in the box. He's a perfect fit for their defense. And it took me back to Vegas earlier this year when I was covering the Pro Bowl. Xavier Howard was the Dolphins' only Pro Bowler there, but he invited Holland because he wanted him to soak in the moment. And I talked with Holland and his eyes lit up and said, this motivates me to earn my spot here. And so I watched him this offseason and he looks even better. And so it would not shock me if he earns his way into the Pro Bowl this year. And the other guy, Phillips, 8.5 sacks last year, but he talked about becoming a complete player. He only played 54% of the snaps last year. He has to be able to set the edge, stop the run. But if he gets that together, him and Emmanuel Ogbah can be a great duo on the edge for a team that loves to rush the passer. So for an already good Dolphins defense, they have 2 guys that can take the next step and potentially make them a top 10 or even better defense in 2022.
So big praise for Jevon Holland and Jaelan Phillips. And I agree. I think people are sleeping on Jaelan Phillips. I'm on record as saying I think Jaelan Phillips by year 3 is going to be a top 10 edge rusher in the NFL. He already had a better rookie season on less snaps than Chase Young, and everyone's goo gaw over Chase Young. But Jaelan Phillips had a better rookie season on less snaps. Explain that to me. Jaelan Phillips, the only question he had, I told all y'all when I did my scouting report on him, he's a top 10 pick. The only question he had was the injuries are the only reason he fell out of it. Right? And I even said, because I didn't know about Azeez Ojulari's combine checkup, I said in my scouting report, if they were on the same plane with injuries, Jaelan Phillips is the number 1 edge rusher in this class. The only reason I had him number 2 was because at the time of my stuff, Azeez Ojulari's injury stuff wasn't out. Jaelan Phillips stuff was. So, yeah, Jalen's a stud, man. And Jevon Holland, I mean, that's a player I've been talking about, since 2019, 2020. Right? So that's a player, man. That's my guy right there. Jevon Holland, the Snowman, is that dude. He is, and screw a Pro Bowl. That man's a future all-pro safety. Let's be real here for a sec. All right, let's get into what Daniel Efusi had to say in regards to position battles and everything in regards to that. So, this is what he said. 6 Dolphins position battles to watch during training camp and preseason. And remember, I already did my position battle show. You can go check that out. As the Dolphins inch closer to the start of their first training camp under first-year head coach Mike McDaniel, they have few starting positions unsettled. No quarterback battle is imminent. All 11 starters on defense who finished the 2021 season return, plus some key additions. Even on the offensive line, where coaches have only committed to Terron Armstead at left tackle, the rest of the unit is expected to consist of some combination of Eichenberg, Williams, Hunt, and Jackson. Where there is more uncertainty and intrigue is the middle of and the back end of the roster, where several veterans and rookies will be competing for backup and reserve spots. Here are 6 position battles to watch during training camp. So he has wide receiver listed as 1. He said Dolphins have their top 3 wideouts with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Cedric Wilson, and a 4th and rookie Eric Uzukama, who was a 4th-round pick in 2022 draft, is likely to make the roster. That leaves at most 2, maybe 3 roster spots for 7 players. The favorites to make up the final spots on the depth chart are a pair of returning players and a pair of offseason additions. After emerging as one of the team's top pass catchers as an undrafted rookie in 2019, Williams has failed to recapture that form, set back by injuries and inconsistent play, and being in Flores' doghouse and benched. The Dolphins re-signed Williams, a restricted free agent, to an inexpensive 1-year deal just under $1.5 million. It by no means guarantees his spot on the roster. Lynn Bowden Jr.'s career has also been beset by injuries, but he possesses a versatile skill set that could be unlocked by the creativity of McDaniel. Again, Bowden was in his doghouse. That's why they put him on IR. He should have never went on IR. Trent Sherfield and River Craycraft were both signed during the offseason. Craycraft was the first player signed after McDaniel was hired and had the benefit of previously playing for McDaniel with the San Francisco 49ers. Neither player is expected to have a big role on offense, but both have special teams experience. Craycraft has also returned kicks, which is imperative for reserves. Williams and Bowden also have return capabilities and could make a more compelling case to stick on the roster that way. At running back, the Dolphins overhauled their backfield in free agency, signing veterans Chase Edmonds, Raheem Mostert, and Sonny Michel. This position could already be set if decision makers want to keep just 3 backs on the roster entering the season. If not, the 4th and likely final spot would come down to Myles Gaskin, Salvon Ahmed, or UDFA's Quandre White. Gaskin and Ahmed, both former UDFA's themselves, have had flashes in their brief careers, but they were part of a disappointing rushing offense last season. McDaniel has familiarity with Ahmed, who had a short stint with the 49ers in 2020. Meanwhile, White has impressed during organized team activities, but will have to carry that through training camp and preseason when pads come on. The decision on a final roster spot would again likely factor in special teams. Gaskin and Ahmed haven't spent much time on special teams in their careers, while White contributed at South Carolina. Yep. Tight ends are expected to be a key part of McDaniel-led offense. I really struggled with putting on either Ethan Carter or Adam Shaheen on that list I made. Tight ends are expected to be a key part of a McDaniel-led offense, asked not only to catch passes, but to help out his run blockers. Mike Gesicki returns in 2022, playing on the franchise tag, and so does Durham Smythe, who re-signed to the team on a 2-year deal. 2021 third-round pick Hunter Long will also be on the roster and vying for playing time, leaving possibly one more spot for Adam Shaheen, Ethan Carter, and long shot Tanner Connor. Adam Shaheen. I think I said Shanahan. Shaheen made 7 starts in the first 11 games last season before a knee injury sidelined him and reduced his role. He's a superior offensive player, but Carter's fixture on special teams could give him the advantage. And Carter also has experience as lining up as a fullback. So, yeah, that could give him a big advantage for sure. As stated before, the Dolphins' starting offensive line is expected to include Armstead, Eichenberg, Williams, Hunt, and Jackson in some combination. But there are a number of reserve spots in limbo. Dieter started 8 games at center in 2021, has seemingly been jettisoned from a starting role, but could be a key reserve with the ability to play all interior positions and even tackle in dire situations. Players such as Solomon Kinley, Greg Little, and Robert Jones all have minimal starting experience. And undrafted rookies Kellen Diesch and Blaise Andreas were coveted players after the draft. Skill sets that fit zone running scheme may give certain players an early edge, but multiple spots will have to be won over the next month. The Dolphins are expected to keep 8 or 9 offensive linemen on their roster. Inside linebacker. The Dolphins re-signed all 3 of their unrestricted inside linebackers and added another when they drafted Channing Tindall in the 3rd round. Along with Tindall, who will be brought along slowly, Jerome Baker and Landon Roberts are locks to make the roster. That leaves likely one spot for players such as Duke Riley, Sam McGuavin, and Calvin Munson. Riley was a top performer during OTAs and may even be on the right side of the bubble entering training camp. McGuavin contributed sparingly on defense last season, but isn't an effective blitzer, even if that skill set is already covered by Baker and Tindall. Although the Dolphins' defense uses more nickel and dime packages, swapping defensive linemen and linebackers for defensive backs, McGuavin's value on special teams could keep him on the final roster. And then return specialists. The Dolphins didn't find an immediate successor to Jakeem Grant, the one-time All-Pro returner who was traded midseason, and still don't have a clear replacement as they enter camp. Hill and Waddle are both dynamic players with return history, but are probably too valuable to keep in that role on a full-time basis. The same goes for safety Jevon Holland, who split punt return duties with Waddle as a rookie. Williams, Bowden, and Craycraft, as well as third-year cornerback Noah Igbenogany, all have experience too, and the trio of wideouts could solidify roster spots by obtaining the coach's trust. See, this is where Devontae Dedmon or Braylon Edwards need to do something to try and break the roster. The most established returner is Devontae Dedmon, who was named the CFL's most outstanding special teams player in 2021 after scoring on 3 return touchdowns. Dedmon is a long shot to make the roster as a receiver, but could force another tough decision if he turns heads as a returner in preseason games. But for now, the job appears to be up in the air. And that's a good point, man. I should have had return specialists. And that's why I had to show you guys that article. You made a good one there. The return specialist was a great call by Daniel. That's going to be a very good, because we know who our gunner is going to be. It's going to be Trent Sherfield, but the returner is going to be, Dedmon. And I remember when I asked you guys about dark horses yesterday, someone in the chat said they got Devontae Dedmon as a dark horse to make the team based on a returner, and that might end up being a good call, man. That might end up being a good call. So good stuff there. Next up here, Bleacher Report. They put out their over-under on win predictions for every NFL team in 2022. And what they said was expectations can be a heavy burden and never serve as a true indicator of what's about to happen next. A year ago, the Cleveland Browns were considered one of the league's up-and-coming teams and a possible Super Bowl contender after winning the first playoff game since the franchise returned to the NFL in 1999. They severely disappointed, finishing with an 8-9 record. Those expectations and the ensuing results brought consequences. Quarterback Baker Mayfield, wide receiver Jarvis Landry, and tight end Austin Hooper are no longer with the team. In the same division, the Cincinnati Bengals surprised everyone with an AFC North title and a run all the way to the Super Bowl. The Fighting Joe Burrows came up just short of capturing the franchise's first Lombardi trophy, but expectations are now heaped upon them entering the 2022 campaign, and deservedly so. Cincinnati spent the offseason rectifying its biggest mistake, not properly addressing its offensive line a year ago. Now, with multiple additions up front, the Bengals look more than capable of exceeding 10 victories for the second straight season. Expectations do vary based on circumstances, and DraftKings set the demarcation lines for each squad's upcoming forecast. Will those teams exceed or fall short of expectations. And for the Miami Dolphins, they, let me bring them up for you. This is what they had to say for the Miami Dolphins. They said over under is 9 wins on DraftKings. I'm taking that over. Tyreek Hill has served as Tagovailoa's hype man since Kansas City Chiefs traded the star wide receiver to the Miami Dolphins. It's going to be a lot of people taking the words back on what they said about Tua. I can't really name point, but I'm saying reporters, analysts, Twitter trolls, Hill said when talking about his quarterback on it needed to be said. All those people are going to take their words back on what they said about Tua. I'm going to be sitting there eating my popcorn. Earlier this month, Hill said Tagovailoa is more accurate than Patrick Mahomes. The Dolphins now have an elite playmaker on the outside who loves his new quarterback. Hill will go out and make plays whenever he isn't sitting there eating his popcorn. Hill isn't the Dolphins' only offensive addition of note. Connor Williams is taking over center, while Terron Armstead will be manning left tackle. Cedric Wilson and Chase Edmonds will contribute at wide receiver and running back, respectively. Miami remains solid on defense. Now the Dolphins have a true difference maker on offense, and a proof front five, and an offensive-minded head coach with a proven scheme to finally get the most out of the team. Last year's Dolphins finished with 9 wins despite having no offensive identity. This year's team should be even better. I agree. And that line is a really good line. That sums it up, right? Last year we won 9 games, and the year before we won 10 games without really having an offensive identity. Now we have that. We've kept the same defensive personnel intact, right? We've kept all the same defensive personnel intact from talent-wise to the majority of our coaching staff. Yeah, there's no reason why we can't build on it. It goes back to what I said with the Tyreek film study when I talked about it, how, we have the closest thing we've had in the past couple of years to a complementary offense to our defense, not that stagnant offense we've been dealing with the last 2 years. Let's just hope it all comes together and the recipe gets cooked up. And when you speak about the offensive line for a sec, a staggering, financial statistic I wanted to show you guys, courtesy of Sharp Analysis. Look at the cheapest offensive lines in the NFL. We have the third cheapest offensive line in the NFL. We spend $27.4 million on the offensive line. Like Seattle's is all like young guy, like rookies and stuff. Like all that money is Tanner Connor and Terron Armstead. We knew, and that's even more of why we need another vet on this line. Really, Eichenberg, Hunt, and either Eichenberg or Jackson should be the only 2 young guys on this offensive line. We should have 3 other, 3 other vets on this line. Our center should be a vet, our guard should be a vet, and one of our tackles should be a vet. And we got all this money. So, like I said, I still believe they, like with Tua, they said, listen, you brought in a good staff. Can you get the most out of these kids we've spent a lot of capital on in terms of Eichenberg and Austin Jackson? And hey, if you can't get them to work after year 2, after year 1, we'll go get your guys, whatever you want. I still think, and honestly, I trust if they're, listen, let me put it this way. If Eichenberg and Austin Jackson are ever going to be anything in this league, this goes for Saul McKinley too, it'll be under this staff. If they can't be anything under this staff, then they're not made for the NFL. And that's why I said, listen, I've got doubts. I've got questions about how this offensive line is shaping up. But like I've said before, and like I'll say again, I trust my head coach. I trust my coaching staff until they give me, funny enough, reason to doubt them. I'm going to trust them. Just like for the first 2 years, I was saying trust the flow cess. And then when I started hearing things behind the scenes that were giving me reason to doubt Flores, I started changing that narrative, along with things I was also seeing just from my own eyes. And same thing's I'm fully in on these guys. Like I was fully in on Flores. I'm fully in on this staff. Obviously, everyone knows I wanted Mike McDaniel as our OC last year, so I'm fully in on him. But until they give me reason to doubt them, I'm going to trust their process. But if the process don't work this year, invest some money, inject some money. Right? Can't be, listen, bargain bin shopping is only going to get you so far. Even spending money on depth, I would have accepted. Let's call it what it is. And then speaking of the offensive line, nice little graphic to show you guys here. So on the left side is the PFF offensive line rankings. And then look at the movement. And then on the top, it's 2021 end of the season to current 2022 rankings. So look at the Dolphins. In 2021, obviously after last year, they had us ranked dead last. Dead last. Now, they have us up right where I want us to be. They have us ranked 22nd in the NFL. And what have I said? I need this offensive line to give us 18th to 22 production. You need to get in around 20th. So I'll take 18 to 22. They've got us ranked 22 from 32 last year. If we jump 10 spots this year on an offensive line, that's phenomenal. But look at where they have the Bengals, for example. Bengals were 22 last year, and they've jumped them all the way up to what, 8th? Look at the Eagles, though, man. Like, look at what Jalen Hurts has had, man. Jesus. I think the one they're really where's the where are they? Oh, there they are. Wow, they got I think the Chargers line is better than what they're giving them credit for too. But look at that. They've got us jumping from last season. We were 32nd overall, obviously historically bad since they started grading offensive lines. Now they've got us ranked 22nd overall. If we can go from 18, 19, 20, 21, or 22, give me one of those 5 spots. All I need is to be in and around 20. And that'll be enough for our run game. That'll be enough for Tua. And we are rolling, baby. We are rolling. So, and hey, if you're going to get that out of the 3rd cheapest line in the NFL too, buddy, genius, you'll be an offensive line god. Never mind genius. If you get on the 3rd cheapest, if you can get the 3rd cheapest line to be the 22nd best line after being 32nd last year, you're a genius. Good God. Good God. So here's hoping, man. Here's hoping we get that high. Jeez. Barry Jackson summed up a lot of, and we played a few of these clips, but the Dolphins rarely give a public voice to members of the front office beyond general manager Chris Greer. But they did recently with the team's in-house podcaster, Travis Wingfield, and it was pretty insightful. Wingfield spoke with Dolphins personnel officials Marvin Allen, Adam Ingroff, and Matt Winston about some of the team's young players and factors that led to the Dolphins drafting them. Allen, the team's assistant manager, said guard Robert Hunt was essentially the Dolphins' secret in 2020 when Miami staff coached one of the Senior Bowl teams. He was scheduled to play at the Senior Bowl, and he was injured, and we were glad he didn't because nobody else got a chance to see him, and he was our secret, Marvin Allen said. Now everybody sees it. He was so dominant, and he was that athletic. People got a chance to see a glimpse of the athleticism on the touchdown that wasn't allowed, in that Baltimore Thursday night game. It shows his athleticism and power, and he's just a great person. We can build with guys like this. He was special to me because I was able to meet him when I went to Louisiana to scout him, and I kind of fell in love with the person. Justin Herbert's name wasn't mentioned, but Allen explained why the Dolphins were drawn to Tua Tagovailoa in the 2020 draft. If you remember how Tua first came in for Alabama, he rescued them in the championship game. He showed all that poise, instincts, anticipation you would want to see. He's more of a leader by example, but he's a cool, calm, collected customer. Some of the throws he's been able to make with his anticipation and accuracy left an impression on Dolphins management. Allen said of Jalen Waddle, I remember Chris Greer and I were at his pro day, and he was a ball of fire. The energy, you see the explosiveness on the field, you say, this guy's going to be something. You want as many playmakers as you can get on the field. He's really got good hands, can make things happen once he catches it. There are special qualities in that receiver. We all saw it. Having a relationship with Tua really helped. Allen on what drew the team to defensive tackle Raekwon Davis. He's huge. You would think he's supposed to be in the WWF. He's really athletic for a guy that size. You don't see that combination of explosiveness and athleticism with a guy that big. Remember, me and EM, when we did our defensive tackle rankings, we only had Jevon Kinlaw and Derek Brown in that draft over him. And remember, my comparison to Raekwon Davis was, I see a lot of Chris Jones in him. What we wanted him to be able to do was anchor inside. He's selfless. The guy still eats up blocks and try not to play outside of the scheme. He could probably go and make some plays, but he's holding blocks for other guys to make plays. Winston, the team's assistant director of college scouting, said the first time he noticed Oregon safety Jevon Holland, he was there to scout different Duck players, but Holland's impressive play that day kind of stuck with me. A season later, after Holland became draft eligible, I thought he had gained speed. Winston said the further enhanced his value in the Dolphins' eyes. Winston said with safety Brandon Jones, you knew you were drafting a professional already like Jevon. Winston said that Jones, as a Dolphins player, has evolved into someone very reliable in terms of what you're getting day in and day out. You know you're going to get some sort of explosive play. He's got a niche, rushing the passer and exotic packages. Really being a force in and all around the line of scrimmage is where he's really stood out to me. That's why, man. I mean, guys, if we're really deep on this linebacker depth chart, I mean, this man can be that hybrid like Barron, right? Especially when we're going to go into these dime and nickel packages and put a lot of backs out there, and they use him as a hybrid linebacker anyways. Man, he's got instincts like a linebacker. So, Ingroff, the co-director of player personnel, said when he first put eyes on Jaelan Phillips, long before he transferred to Miami, he asked UCLA coaches, who's that guy? That guy looks like a first-round pick, and he was a true freshman. Complete freak athlete, can do whatever he wants on the field. Speed, high motor, relentless pursuit. Yeah, bro. Ingroff said he refers to a linebacker AVG as a pain in the butt player. He may not make the sack, but he contributes to the play so somebody else can come in and get the sack. And he's right, man. AVG, he's a lunch, AVG is the definition of a lunch pail player. He brings his lunch pail, goes hard to work. And as far as the speed, high motor, and relentless pursuit of Jevon Holland, man, if you guys remember when I did that big board with him on it, and that play I really highlighted when he got in that backfield and against Clemson, and Lawrence got out of the backfield, and this guy chased him down 18 yards to make the play. It was unbelievable stuff. Like, that guy is, Jaelan Phillips is a special athlete, man. Special athlete. All right. And then finally here, guys, Teddy Bridgewater thinks to the kids. Teddy Bridgewater tells kids not to get fooled by NFL players with tough guy image. Miami Dolphins quarterback Teddy Bridgewater isn't a fan of fellow NFL players presenting fake images of themselves. The veteran posted a message about it on Instagram on Monday. He said, quote, tired of seeing football players portray this tough guy image or pretend he's gangsta. You went to school, attended those classes, and even some got their college degree. Now you might have 1.5% of professional football players that's on that, but the remaining 98.5% are only football tough. I mean, and Bridgewater indicated he succeeded by not falling victim or being tricked by the false image you see on IG from a lot of ball players. I mean, those are some bold words by Teddy Bridgewater, but hey, he's looking out for the interest of the next generation. So I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Shout out to Teddy Bridgewater. I think until Skylar Thompson beats him out, the best backup in the NFL, man. I really do believe that. So, all right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Here's the deal. I'm going to be back tomorrow night at 8:00 with Ryan Roberts of Rise and Draft, right? Dante Colonelli, also of Rise and Draft, also of SI Dolphins, and he's got a huge, big announcement of where he's going coming in the coming week or so. He's going to a big boy place. So They'll both be on, and we're going to talk about the Dolphins rookies and what Dolphin fans' expectations should be for them in year one and at training camp. And then we're going to have a little 2023 draft talk. It's going to be a good show. Make sure you tune in. Always a good time. And it's going to be a good show, man. Make sure you guys tune in tomorrow. Until then, you already know what time it is, man. All day, every day, even beyond the grave in which we lay. Fins up, baby. Stay happy, healthy, safe, and blessed, people. Love y'all. I will see y'all tomorrow.